So we have just entered something I call the value age. Okay. And what I'm explaining here might change your entire perspective on crypto. It kind of blew my mind when I started building this out. It's not perfect, but I do believe that the analogy will grow. And I want to give people a deeper understanding of what crypto actually means. So you can understand why I keep saying things like digital revolution. People are going to get rich. This is just like, you know, jumping onto the internet before the internet. What does that all mean? Like, why do people keep saying that? And right, a lot of people even think that cryptocurrency is a facade and they don't really comprehend what's actually going on. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So over here, we kind of have these two main categories, as you can see, the blue one and the green one. So I believe since the internet was created, it's called the information age. So the internet right now, if you look at it from a foundational perspective, if you kind of understand the back end, it's pretty much just information. It's all information based. People don't understand this concept, but it's true. It's all information based. So it's just literally image, video, and text all over the internet. That's literally all that's been happening. Now, if you go to a website like Amazon, right? But there, you have the transaction of money. But that transaction of money is actually handled by a bank, and it's centralized. It's not really an internet-based thing. It's actually localized to the entity that solves the transaction processing. So even Amazon itself doesn't have it's still a social media. It's just a public place where you can buy things, but the actual transaction is not on the internet. It's actually localized and centralized. And so we've never had value get captured on the internet. And so I believe we're entering what I call, and we've already entered, the value age, where value is now being captured on the internet and being organized in different ways. Because when the internet first came out, believe it or not, it didn't pop out like Instagram, right? It didn't pop out like Facebook. It popped out really just as a primal, just very like limited, I believe it was like a blog post or like, like Reddit, like a thread. It was just a thread of people having conversations, talking about this, that, and the third. It was just communication through text. And then obviously it got crazier and crazier, and it got nicer and nicer and more user friendly. And then more people got involved. And that's the same thing that's happening in crypto, but for value. And the reason why I'm saying this stuff is because you guys are investing in this value revolution. You're literally able to put your money behind things on the internet, which is insane. We never had this ability before. And so you have to understand what you're investing in, right? You can't just invest. Like, think about it this way. You're in a new world, right? Think about the digital world. It's a completely new thing. It's a completely new construct of a world. And you're trying to invest in businesses that are being started in this new world. If you don't understand the world, how could you know if a business is going to flourish? So everyone's perception is skewed. Like, I've noticed this with researchers specifically, their perception is very skewed in understanding what is actually valuable. I talked to my group, we did like a deep dive on this, a deep training on this. And I said, I want you to kind of just do one thing. And the one thing is, throughout reality every single day, understand how value is captured. You need to understand a deep understanding how value is captured. What is quality? What will sell? What do people look at? What do people like? Having a deep understanding of that will allow you to take, for example, something in the physical world right now that has no blockchain, has no tokenization, has no crypto, and bring it to the crypto world, and you can make a lot of money. That's the reason I'm explaining this, because you can invest in the revolution and you can build the revolution, right? This is where it gets really, really crazy, because obviously some of the first companies that took place in the information age are right now, some of them trillionaires, billionaires, right? Crazy numbers that we don't know. So I want to explain the difference. The information age is what we're in, right? Like, we've already kind of experienced. And basically it's just a transfer of information all over the world, right? Through text, image, or video. The value age is doing the same thing, but it's destructing it from capturing value. So right now it's all over the place. There's these meme coins, there's these weird websites. Nobody really knows what's going on. But I believe what's going to happen is it's going to get more organized, more user-friendly, to the point where essentially it's as easy as logging into Instagram. And it's funny I say that because we actually that currently happens with Base Wallet. Like, I just made it a Base Wallet the other day, and it's easier to log into Base Wallet than it is Instagram right now, believe it or not. it's significantly easier as well. So this is happening right before your face. And again, I also believe, just to be clear, that the value age is going to be significantly more disruptive than the information age. Why do I say that? Because this is the same difference of someone saying something versus doing something. What do I mean by that? If somebody says they're going to a concert, right? You take that with a grain of salt. Are they actually going to go? If they're like, hey, you want to go to a concert with me? Like, you're going to take it with a grain of salt. It's probably not official. But if they bought 2 tickets and then give you a ticket, then it's a lot more official. So when it comes to the disruption of what people are saying, the information age, versus what people are doing and putting their money behind, the value age, this is significantly more disruptive because it's way more important. So let's talk about Web 2.0, because a lot of people, they're not going to understand what Web 3.0 means if you don't understand how it currently works, right? So right now, there's a physical element to the internet. What do I mean by that? So there's fiber optic cables, and it's literally connected throughout the world. There's literal connections, like physical connections through networking devices, towers, fiber optics, cables. There's like a physicalness too. I don't know if you guys knew that. A lot of people don't know that, but that's how it currently works through your internet service provider or whatever the case is, right? So this is the physical layer. And, cryptocurrency is on that physical layer as well. And then it brings us to the next one. And I want to use Zora as an example because it's been our hottest topic. As you guys know, we've been talking about the coins and things like that. But, it's not specifically Zora. That's just an example, just to be clear with you guys. So there's a data layer. So when we talk about the actual internet right now, like what you currently experience, forget blockchain for a second, it has a data layer. So it's TCP or whatever the case is. But basically, there's these little individual packets that are transferred. So let's say hypothetically, I want to send a picture on Instagram. When I send the picture on Instagram, what happens is it gets compressed into a small packet, right? And then the information is sent to whatever destination, and then the post is put, and there's these small it gets compressed, it gets sent, and then gets opened. Compressed, sent, opened. And it's basically packets of information. This is called the data layer. So there's a data layer on the internet, specifically right now. Again, like I said, it's all information based. This is just purely information. So text, image, and video. Every website you see, every piece of information is on this standard, and this is called the data layer. This is how the internet works. And then we have the application layer, right? And so the application layer is essentially the websites and the apps on your phone. Think about it for a second. Everything you currently use is either through a browser or an app. Think about your computer. That's the physical device. Computer, it's an app or a browser, right? App or a browser. That's pretty much it. So this is called the application layer, right? Which is constructed of the things that you actually use. This is what you actually experience. This is where the user interface is really good. This is like Instagram, when you open Instagram and you could see all the pictures, the actual app, right? Or when you go to, I don't know where you guys shop, Amazon, you go to shop on Amazon, you go to the website, that's the actual application layer. So again, there's the application layer. Under it is the the data layer, right? The data gets transferred, it gets compressed, sent, and then below it is the physical, actual like places. Like, I don't know if you guys know, there's called data centers. Have you seen it before? There's like a whole bunch of data centers, and these data centers are the physical, they're housed, they essentially created a digital reality, and this is the physical part of it that created that digital reality, right? So there's these kind of 3 layers. Now, I'm not saying it's Zora. Again, this is just an example that we're using in my community. But let's say hypothetically, a business wants to make a website. They can make a website and stack it on top of the application layer, right? That's where websites come into play. So in the digital world, a website is kind of like a building. It's not exactly, but it's kind of like a building. Like think about it. You go into Walmart, right? And there's all this food and different things. It's the same thing with a website. You go to the website, and then you can click, and there's all these options, and the way the website's optimized, you go this way, that way. It's the same type of experience. It's the digital experience of the physical going into a store, if that makes sense. Now, again, all of that, let me just be clear, is information transfer. So website is information transfer, apps, information transfer. There's no value associated to that until blockchain and crypto came out. And so this is what I see is happening right now. And these are, yes, official predictions. I believe Ethereum is the layer 1. So Ethereum, if you understand it, they're calling it the security layer. Ethereum is slower than it's not super slow, but it's slow and expensive. So it's primarily used because of the network effects. Ethereum is the biggest, it has the biggest network effects, and is essentially decentralized. And the whole purpose of Ethereum is purely governance and security. They want to govern the layer to make sure they do whatever they want, and then they also want to secure it. And if you understand how blockchain works, the more decentralized a project is, the more security it has, right? So like there's different levels of decentralization. There's nothing that can be completely decentralized, and there's nothing that can be, completely centralized, but there's different levels of it. And right now, when it comes to layer ones, there's nothing even close. Like I don't think there's anything even close, like not even close. It's vastly far ahead of everything currently in existence when it comes to a smart contract layer one. A smart contract layer one, Ethereum has pretty much won that game. So they have all the developers, they have all the liquidity, and I'm not an Ethereum maximalist. I don't care. I don't even have any Ethereum right now for investment purposes at all. But I do know that their network effects have pretty much beat everything. They're the most decentralized. They're the most secure when it comes to that part of smart contract capabilities, layer one specifically. So they won that game. And this is an official prediction. I believe they're going to take over. I think they've already taken over. They're going to continue to take over. And then layer two, if you guys know what I've been talking about, I've been making videos about this, is Base. Base is a layer two that stacks on top of the layer one. And Base is way faster, way cheaper. And that is essentially similar to the application layer. These are where all the apps are being built. So when you launch a coin on Base, that's like launching kind of like a website, but in the case of it's an actual blockchain. So in one case, it's a website where you view stuff. In the other case, it's a blockchain where you hold value. So it's the same thing. We have a layer one security layer, data layer. Data gets sent back and forth, right? And then we have Ethereum, which is basically the security data layer. It sends data as well. Then we have the application layer. This is Base, right? Base is the layer two created by Coinbase. You guys know I've been talking about this. Please refer to my old videos if you guys didn't see it. But Base itself is where the applications are probably going to be. Most of for the public, like the average everyday person will likely be accessing the apps on Base. And then the blockchains, these individual blockchains, all these little apps, the value will be retained by the blockchain. So they're one and the same. They come together. So what I'm saying is the future's tokenized. What I'm saying is, let's say hypothetically, I don't know, this company right here. In the future, this company, Mountain Valley, right? As you can see right here, Mountain Valley will likely have a coin associated with it in some way, shape, or form. So they're in Web 2.0 and Web 3.0 at the same time. These worlds were merged, right? What do I mean by that? So they have a website to go buy the water. But at the same time, they're going to have a token implemented into it to capture value in some way, shape, or form, right? And this works for all businesses. And so again, I'm just going to bring it back to what I'm saying. We are going, again, we have the information age. We are moving into the value age, and the infrastructure, the plumbing, is being built out right in front of your face. So let's take a deeper look at the plumbing, right? So again, the value age, information age, they're going to come together. They come together. And so we have the application layer that displays websites, but we have the L2 base chain that allows blockchains to be created. And this is the information being displayed, the websites and the apps and things like that. And the blockchain is the value, right? So again, I want to just, everything got disrupted when the information came, right? People got smarter, information got traveled faster, all these things. But now we're having value take place as well. Now, if we look at our physical devices, how this comes into play, there's really like two main ones right now, which is the phone and the computer. I think VR is in the future, and I think it's pretty much the same thing. But we access the phone through browser and apps the vast majority of the time when it comes to internet connectivity, right? It's really just browser and apps. And so these are like the transmission vehicles. I can't say that they're like cars, because cars only go like forward, backwards. But these are like, I don't know, like they go everywhere, right? Because if you think about it, right, when you go to your grocery store, let's say you want to buy some food, right? You get in your car, you drive to the grocery store, you buy food. If say you want to buy food on the phone, you open up your phone, click Instacart, buy food. So it's kind of like the vehicle in which you access all of these websites, right? And so understanding this and how important it is, it's just so important, guys, because it really shows you how blockchain and crypto is going to be implemented in today's society. And what you have to do is you have to see the businesses that are popping up, right? And how it applies to the entire ecosystem, right? And then there's so much of a foundation. I think I'm actually creating a course off of this specifically of how it applies, right? Because there's so many different things we can look at. Once you can actually see it from a real world perspective, then it's like, okay, so then what buildings are people going into? And there's a subset of metrics and tools that I use to see, for example, traffic that goes to websites, volume, search volume that go, like how many people are clicking on this website will be equivalent to watching somebody walking into a store. I don't know if you guys ever seen that game. It's like Roller Coaster Tycoon back in the day. I used to play it when I was smaller. I think they have a new one called Planet Coaster. It's like these simulation games. And you could see people walking into different buildings, buying things. And you could see that one building, there's a big line. There's a lot of people buying that thing. And then you see this building, nobody really buys it. It's the same thing with crypto. If you guys are trying to invest in crypto, you have to identify what people want. But the reason why you can't identify what people want is because you don't even know what's going on. This is the visual experience that you need. You need to understand that this is a world. And there are marketplaces. Like I've said, Aerodrome Finance is a marketplace. And there are businesses in this world, this digital world. And before there were only visuals. Now value is being implemented into it. And you got to understand that, right? It's like I always talk about it. It's like discovering a new land. When you go into a new land, there's a certain way, there's patterns of how the city is built. And Base is it's so new. The Base chain, it's so new. And the Base wallet is like the navigator. It's going to be like the main app that navigates through all of this. And so this is not complete. I want to be clear with you. This is not complete. This is version number 1. I will have a lot of versions that really play this out. But just if you could apply it to real life, then what happens is you could see the patterns in nature and apply it to the way it's currently building out in the digital world. I believe God is consistent through everything. I believe he has his hand on everything. So if he builds nature in this way, the closer you can match the patterns of God, the better the app will do. And the better the app will flourish. I believe this. Because again, like I said, he has his hand in everything. He is the master orchestrator of everything. And so the goal here, ultimately, like I say in all of my videos, and as you guys know, is to understand the kingdom of God, the patterns of God, and how he moves. And he has his hand, and he will show people that really seek him what's going on. And this is what he showed me today. And so that's the visual of, again, I'm coining the term. I don't think I've ever heard this before. We have been in the information age for the past 20, 30 years. We are officially entering the value age. And this is a gold rush. When I mean it's a gold rush, it's more disruptive than the information age. And now you know why. It's because it's the difference between someone saying something versus them doing something. And the same way how the websites went from a blog post or a thread to now full-on social media applications and being a part of like pretty much all of our lives is the same way how value transfer is going to be applied and organized in our lives in significant ways. And so there is a method to the organization. It's not just chaos. There is a method to how the value will be organized on the internet. And there's signs of it. There's signs of it in nature. There's signs of it in the current internet. There's signs of it. And I invite you guys to watch this movement. And so I'm actually going to start building a course. This is the foundation. And I'm pretty sure the foundational framework is going to change. But every lesson is going to be built off of this to essentially try to bring visuals in the form of information, then maybe image, then video, to understanding this new Web 3.0 world. And I don't think it's ever been explained like this. So yeah, stick along. It's going to be a very interesting ride. We're going to be going over a lot of this stuff on the YouTube channel and in my communities. And I think it would just give us a very deep understanding of crypto. A lot of people have the head knowledge of buying a coin and understanding why the price goes up a little bit, but they're researching in the dark. This is shining light on the world of crypto. And I invite you guys along in this experience. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you in the next video. If you don't get with it, you will get left behind. Catch you guys later. Peace out.